Self stakes.
It's okay.
Loud. Oh, we got more traffic. Loud thing.
Oh, I hear that. That's so.
Hang on. You wanna wait?
Yeah, we're just standing by.
Standing by 1 second.
It's loud.
Is there one there?
An airplane.
Yeah.
It's an airplane,
Okay,
yeah.
1 second.
There's two of them.
Very
It's a
close.
snowplow. That's the culprit.
All right. These guys are having a heyday.
Yep, they're getting paid well today.
They've been waiting for this. Just don't come down here. There's no need to come down.
Passing
Going
by.
by, so we'll just wait a few moments to let the
What's the little kid do?
sound linger off.
She does. I love it so much.
Great work though, first time. Let's do that again.
Perfecto.
We're good?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we're good, everybody. Action.
I really gotta start taking care of myself, Emma. I don't want to end up like her.
You're not like her. You're strong, like your grandma.
So, do you think the killer's still out there?
Hello?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 151 of MCRAE Live. The date today is Tuesday, March the 16th, 2021, 12:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave MCRAE, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. And we are just 10 days away from the release of the official full-length trailer for It's Me, Billy. It's been quite a busy week. That's why there were no shows last week, folks. There were no shows last week. Because it has been a busy... There we go. Busy week. And I wanted to do the show today talking about It's Me, Billy, because I haven't talked about it on the show, at least dedicated a show to it for a while. And that is primarily because it's, I mean, you know, there's only so much you can talk about. There's different stages that you go through when you're putting a film like this together, obviously. And for the last several months, the movie has been in post-production. It is still in post-production. and things are looking good. Last week was a very, very busy week for myself and Bruce and whatnot in regards to the film, because we were gearing up the official trailer that we have coming to you on Friday, March the 26th. Is when we are going to drop the official trailer. And I want to talk a bit about it and talk a bit about what you can expect without giving anything away. Of course, I don't want to do that. But sort of where our mind frame is and our thinking is, because there are a lot of people, of course, that have said, you know what, I don't even need to see anymore. Like I'm sold, I'm in. I don't even need to see anymore. And of course, I mean, that's, usually how it is when you watch if I do say so myself, a pretty darn good teaser trailer that's put together, like the one for It's Me, Billy. But naturally, of course, when you are drumming up interest and I mean, we're not a big studio, obviously, but we are still rolling out our own marketing campaign, which is what you do. It's what Vincent DeSanti did, of course, with Never Hike Alone and Never Hike on the Snow, and it's what higher caliber films do. So we're no different, and we have a marketing plan in place, and certain, the images that you see us drop online, whether it's behind the scenes or it's promotional images and things like that, they're not arbitrarily dropped. Of course, there's a strategic plan to it. If you go back all the way back to the beginning, all the way back to even before, as we were leading up to launching the Indiegogo campaign, if you've been following us closely, although most people probably don't think about it this much because it just kind of goes into your subconscious. But if you have been more self-aware and following us along the way, you'll notice a pattern. You'll notice that we've been pretty consistent with the type of marketing we've done, when we drop things, how we drop things, what we show, what we don't show, all that kind of stuff. And that, of course, is on purpose. Like with any short film, there's only so much you can show because it's a short film. So you don't have the material to be able to showcase, a lot. That's something that, that obviously we have to keep in mind as well. But this past week has been incredibly busy. The cut of the movie is for all intents and purposes complete. It has been strung together. We are fine-tuning, again, as I've said before, when people have asked about it on prior episodes of the show here, there wasn't a lot of fat to trim. And that's primarily because of how prepared we were. When you are prepared, when you have a script, when you have a shot list, and a shot list, again, is for those of you that may not know, it is essentially, you go through the script, you create another script, if you will, that's called a shot list. And, you basically have all your shots laid out, how you're going to shoot each scene, because you can have a script and you can have an idea in your head, but okay, well, where is the camera placed? Is it a close-up? Is it a medium close-up? Is it an extreme close-up? Is it a wide-angle shot? You know what I mean? Is it a high, low, where are we? And you got to figure all that out prior to going to camera. And the reason for that, I mean, there's several reasons, but one of the big reason, obviously, is because you don't have the time to be figuring that out while you're on set. You can't just go to set and go, so how are we going to shoot this scene anyway? I don't know. Let's see here. No, I mean, and that doesn't mean that things don't organically change, or when you get to set or your location, you think to yourself, oh, you know what? Do we have time to do this? Because that would be really cool. I didn't even realize that there was this here and we could totally do that. That happens all the time. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. You have to know when you get to the location, when you get to the dining room scene, which of course we have not been shy of promoting here with It's Me, Billy, we know how we're shooting the dining room scene. We don't get to the dining room scene and go, so how do you guys want to shoot this? Because you're going to take an hour to figure that out. We don't have that time, especially on a low budget horror movie, especially, when time is money and you're up all hours of the night shooting. You don't have that kind of time. So you have a shot list. The original Halloween most movies have shot lists, but I bring up the original Halloween because I actually had the opportunity to look at the original shot list when I had dinner with Mickey Yablons and his family. and he brought out the original shot list of the original Halloween. And that was incredible to hold in my hand and to go through that and see what they were doing. And that makes sense, of course. Now, again, most films have one, of course, but certainly on a low budget film like Halloween, you would want to have one because you can't be fit. Time is money. I mean, we have to know what we're doing prior to going to camera, right? Anyway, so there's a lot of work involved, obviously. And the cut of the movie is complete. Essentially, there wasn't a lot of fat. There wasn't a lot of fat to trim. We were very prepared, and we didn't do an excessive amount of takes. We weren't Kubricking it up, if I do say so. That doesn't mean we didn't shoot things multiple times, but certainly it was pretty. We were pretty on point. So there wasn't a lot of fat to trim. We are releasing a full trailer on March the 26th, but I want people to understand though too that it's again, we are not arbitrarily just piecing things together and here you go. We're playing things close to the vest. We are going to show you more than what we showed you in the teaser trailer, but we're not showing you everything. When you watch the movie, you'll go, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff they didn't show in the trailer or the teaser. And it's designed that way, obviously, but we're showing you more than what we showed you in the teaser to give you a better sense of what you could expect, right? A better sense of what you could expect, but certainly not everything. And again, that's designed that way. So that was a lot of what was going on last week. Preparing for that, we met, of course, with our I was going to say our Greg. Well, I guess we could refer to him as our Greg. We met with our DP, Greg Bennett, of course, who shot the movie, and we watched the cut from start to finish this past Saturday. Went over a lot of the look and the feel of the movie, and he's going to be doing a lot of the color grading and the color timing and all that. And so we were talking about that, and sort of, we've come to the conclusion that the movie probably has 4 sort of looks in terms of color and aesthetic style. So that took a while to sort of hammer down and go over and what we want to do with the midtones and the darks and the blacks and all that. And it takes a lot of work to go through that. So there was that. And of course we were showing, the cut of the trailer and going through the trailer and what do we want to show and the sound design and all that kind of stuff. So it was just a very, very busy week last week where I didn't do any shows. I didn't have the time. And especially when we want to get this movie out, when we hope to get it out, that's something that obviously we have to pay attention to. Now, yes. So the official trailer is dropping on March the 26th on Friday. And people have been asking, when is the movie going to be released? I can tell you at this present time, unless something were to drastically change for whatever reason, a release date will be attached to the trailer. So you can expect a release date of the movie attached to the trailer on March the 26th. So there you go. I'm not going to tell you what that release date is because for 2 reasons. Number one, I want it to be a surprise for you when you guys watch the movie. And number 2, I've learned, anything can change, and I don't want to set unrealistic expectations or have to come back and say, we've had to push the movie because of whatever. There's still 10 days before the trailer comes out. 10 days is enough time for something to happen. Who knows, right? So I want to make sure that I don't put the cart before the horse. But having said that, yes, the release date should be attached to the trailer. No problem there. Now, regards to the Indiegogo perks, we are working on those. For those of you, we appreciate your patience, of course. Of course, it's not unprecedented for Indiegogo campaigns for the films to be put together and released before we start shipping out everything. We are currently in the middle of having t-shirts printed right now and having the hoodies printed and the posters printed. That's actually in the process of happening now. So we are trying to handle, trying to kill several birds with one stone. This past Monday, yesterday, we were going to have, last week, not yesterday, the week before, we were going to start the Two Dudes perk with myself and Tony, and Frank was going to be our first on the show, the great moderator, Frank the Tank. I don't know if he's here today. But of course, Tony was busy. He had some work come up, so we've had to push it. So look for Frank's episode on Two Dudes, fulfilling that Indiegogo perk for Frank in April. And then, of course, there's the MCRAE Live perks I want to get to and all that. Haven't forgotten about you. It is happening. It is coming. Of course, just we have to compartmentalize and put things in order and obviously getting the movie out there and getting the trailer out there and fine tuning. Obviously, we want this to look really good and we want it to sound really good and we want the presentation to be really good. And so that's where our priority has been at the moment. But just want everybody to know we haven't forgotten about you. Of course, naturally. Without you guys, this whole thing wouldn't have been possible. Yeah. So I'm excited to get it out there. You know, I'm excited for you guys to see the trailer. I'm excited for you guys to see the movie. When it is complete. Like I said, it's probably about 90. Well, I mean, it's complete for all intents and purposes, but it still has to go through the color grading process and fine tuning the sound design. So the sound design, which I've been working on like crazy over the last 8 to 12 weeks, I'll say it's done, but there's still some fine tuning that I want to do with it, and that's just a matter of fine tuning the levels and the mix and making sure that things are mixed appropriately and properly, and nothing's too loud or too soft or all that kind of stuff, because obviously that's important too. And what else? Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to get it out there and to finally have it be seen. I'm excited for you guys to see the trailer, but like I said, for those of you that may have been worried that we would be showing too much or showing everything, it's not happening. It's not happening. You will, like I said, when you watch the trailer, you'll watch and you go, oh, definitely this is more, 100%, as you would want in a full trailer. But I don't think anybody's going to walk away thinking, oh my God, they showed the whole movie. That's not going to happen. You guys know me. I mean, I wouldn't let that happen. I don't think you're going to feel that. I think you're just going to go, oh, it should, hopefully, is what it should do, is amp you up even more to see the film. So, and the promotional image, of course, that we have for It's Me, Billy, or for the trailer that I posted across social media on Saturday, I guess it was, Saturday night, whatever it was. That's a shot from the trailer. So it's a great shot. I love that promotional image. I remember when we were shooting it, because I can't tell you what's happening, obviously, but I remember when we were shooting that scene, the scene for where the promotional image that I released a few days ago comes from. I'm watching on the monitor, and there's so many times when, and again, I mean, it's not, I mean, the more movies one makes with, this level of equipment and these types of cameras, no doubt the novelty wears off, I mean, if you're somebody like, I don't know, if you're making these kinds of movies all the time, yeah, the novelty probably wears off. But, this is my first time shooting with cinematic cameras, right? And with a full crew and the equipment and the lighting and the grip and, all that stuff. And at this level. And what's funny is that I found myself many times throughout the shoot watching the monitor and thinking to myself, Jesus, looks great. This looks like a movie. Like it looks great. And when you got Greg as your DP and you got, I mean, it was really cool. But then I have to remind myself, well, it's because it is a movie. We're shooting a movie. We would, if this was an original piece, as I've said many times, I mean, it's a fan film in genre, because we don't own the IP, but changed the name of the movie or changed the story to some, we would have gone about it the same way. We would have hired the same people, rented the same equipment. I mean, we're shooting and using the same equipment that you would use to shoot a Hollywood film on. So, it's I kept having to remind myself that, like, God, this looks, because you don't get that for me. And it's not that you can't shoot some great stuff on a high-end, I was going to say something else, high-end DSLR. You absolutely can. There's wonderful prosumer, I'll say, cameras out there. And in many cases, it's not always, you have to remember, it's not, you can give somebody the most expensive piano in the world, the most beautiful piano in the world, but if you don't know how to fucking play it, it's going to sound like shit, right? So it's not just the camera you're using or the team behind you. You have to know what you're doing, right? You can shoot an incredible movie on your phone and make it look fucking amazing, right? But it's the dynamic range, it's the dynamic range that the Arri has, or that the Red Cam has, or, whatever it is. It's just the dynamic range. The quality is unreal. And I've never, shot on that before. So it was just a really cool experience. So, when I was watching that scene play out, the point I'm trying to make here, when I was watching that scene play out as we were shooting it, there were many times where I was like, oh, that's going to make a great promo image, and that was one of them. When Victoria was walking towards the camera and we captured her that way, I remember thinking to myself, that's going to make a great promo image. And I didn't know where I was going to use it or how I was going to use it yet, but I decided to use it on Saturday to help promote the release of the trailer. And but everybody did. I mean, but it's a team effort, right? I mean, you got Greg, behind the camera. You got Naz, who's our key grip, and you got Nikita, who's our gaffer, and everybody was working. And then you got Luke and Stuart and Adrian and Jacqueline and Dylan and I mean, and Emma and everybody was just working their asses off to deliver something really special. And I couldn't be more proud of the work we've done, and I couldn't be more proud of them either in helping to bring this to life. And I don't know if I think I have said this before. As a matter of fact, I know I have. But our first AC, our first assistant camera, who's usually always your focus puller as well, Jacqueline DeBacco, was and is a huge Black Christmas fan. So it was really cool to be able to talk to her on set in between takes about Black Christmas and what she thought of what we were doing. And she always gave me the thumbs up. She was always like, oh yeah, this looks good, or, this is great, or, so that was always a nice sort of person to have there, because I mean, everybody else on set knew about the movie, but whether everybody had seen the movie, I'm not entirely sure. Us horror fans are very niche-y, right? So it was really cool to have somebody like her on set who had seen the movie, it's one of her favorite horror movies of all time. And that was really cool to have her there. So, and when she gave the thumbs up on certain scenes or shots, it was great. So that's where we're at. The full length trailer is dropping on March 26th. Don't worry, we're not going to show the entire movie in the trailer. So if you're worried about that, don't worry. We are definitely showing more, because that's what you do. Teaser trailer whetted your appetite. Right? We dropped it on Christmas Eve. It whetted your appetite. And of course, the full length trailer will hopefully just help to solidify that, to give you a taste. And then attached to the full length trailer dropping on March 26th, you will have your release date of the movie. And then in between now and then, what we're doing is just continuing to fine tune and to shape the film for release. And then for those of you that picked up the perk, the advanced screening perk, I think there's about 20 of you, I think, you'll be notified when that is. We're going to try and do that a week, maybe the week of or a week before the release of the movie, something like that. we're working hard to try and accommodate everybody. It's a tricky thing, but you'll be notified of that. There's still lots of work to do. I mean, we're not like, the movie's not complete yet. But it's probably, it's close. It's very, very close. And it's looking good. Like, let's just say, like the Snyder cut, the original, cut, not what you're seeing on Thursday, but there is an edit of the movie that you could watch, but it's not done. That's like It's Me, Billy. There's an edit of the movie you can watch, but it's not done. So that's where we're at, and but it's looking good, and we're very proud of it. And I, again, I mean, obviously, I'm one of the creators of the movie, so you always take what I say with a grain of salt. But I'm very proud of what we were able to achieve with it. I think Black Christmas fans will be happy with it. At least I hope so. And I can certainly say, at the very least, that this is more Black Christmas than any of the two other films, like the remake or any of the two remakes. Certainly, I think we've been able to hit that mark at the very least. So, and yeah, there's so much I want to say. There's so much I want to say about it, and there's so much I want to say about the process and about our thought process and what we're thinking, but I can't until the movie comes out, because a lot of things that I want to say is spoiler territory, and I don't want to spoil anything. So I have to sort of keep that under wraps, but I'm very much looking forward to, I can really understand. And again, it's so funny, like this, and this is on a minor scale. Like when we talk about It's Me, Billy is a low budget independent horror film. It's a professional film, but it's low budget independent, right? So it's not like we have a studio involved or anything like that. So what I'm about to say is, I'm not comparing what I'm going through here with like what somebody goes through on like a Marvel film or something like that, right? Where you work, for years on it. I'm not comparing that. But in my little sandbox here, and producing the movie, directing the movie, co-directing the movie, co-producing it, co-writing it, all these things, and all the work, I sit back and I think, wow, I'm getting a feeling now, that feeling of, I can't wait to just get it out there. And you hear Hollywood filmmakers all the time who are working on like multi-million-dollar films for like 2 years or 3 years say that, like, oh, I just can't wait to get it out there. Like, I totally understand on a minor, small version of that, what that is, because I can imagine what that must be like, the amount of work and the stress and the mental stress. I mean, there's times where I'm lying in bed and I'm like, oh, should I use that shot? Should I not use that shot? No, you know what? I got to talk to him tomorrow, because I don't think and if I'm doing that on this, you can only imagine what that must be like on like Star Wars, or Marvel or DC. Now, granted, you also have a lot more people involved, but you also have a lot more chefs in the kitchen. So, that can be stressful too. So it's just funny. Like I find myself at the Creative Cloud has an update for you. Thank you, Creative Cloud. I find myself at that point where it's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get this out there now. I mean, we want it to be good, but so we still got to make sure it's good. But I can really feel that. So it's interesting. It's interesting, to be able to, but that's because of how we've handled everything and the steps we've gone through and the process we've gone through to make this as good as we possibly can. And but we're not under any delusions. I mean, there's always going to be somebody. I mean, it's just what happens when you release your movie, right? There's going to be people that like it. There's going to be people that love it. There's going to be people that don't like it. There's going to be trolls that just say they don't like it just to be spiteful. I'm pretty sure when I drop the trailer on March of 26th, 3 seconds after I drop it, it'll have 2, dislikes, which is impossible because there's no way you could watch the movie or the trailer. They're just people that do that. They do that. What they don't understand is that the dislikes also help the algorithms. It's ironic in a way, but they do. The more you dislike a video, the higher in the algorithm chain your video goes anyway. So just saying, just like all you want. But anyway, so it's just a lot of things I've learned, and it's fascinating to, it's been a fascinating process. And it's been a great learning experience for me. And, you know, not everything is foreign, obviously. It's been my first time doing something like this at this level, but not everything is foreign. I mean, I went to film school. I've been on film sets. I've worked on film sets. So the whole thing is not foreign to me, but being in the position I was, you know, on set in that capacity was new. And it was exciting, and it was a great experience that I can't wait to do again. It was great. So that's where we're at. That's the update I wanted to give you, just to let you guys know that we're still working on it. It's coming, and on March the 26th, 10 days from now, you should have your release date. And because the trailer is dropping, it's being color graded as we speak. Let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying about this. Any questions you guys have at all about Billy, about the process, feel free to ask. This is your opportunity. If you've ever had any questions you've wondered about or wanted to ask me about, this is your chance to do so. If it's spoiler territory, obviously I will not answer, or I will try to give you an answer that best satisfies you without giving anything away. But this is your opportunity. Intel Wild sends in 3 super chats right in a row and says, "We want Billy, we 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 want Billy." Thank you, Intel Wild. Really appreciate it very, very much. Yeah, well, he's coming. He's coming. He's coming. He is on his way. He is definitely on his way. He is coming. Thank you, Intel Wild, for the 3 $5 super chats, totaling $15. Really appreciate that very much. Let's see here. Darren Sands is here. Great to see Darren here. Of course, if you guys have not checked out Frank and Darren's podcast, The Slaughtered Lamb, where all podcasts are downloaded. And I believe, Darren, you also have a YouTube channel as well, where people can listen to some of your episodes, which was a great idea, great addition to the podcast. Feel free, Darren, to shoot that link into the chat room here if you want to, because this podcast is great. The Slaughtered Lamb, hosted by our moderators, of course, Darren Sands and Frank Riker. Aaron Click says, Dave, has this experience made you want to pursue directing even more? Great question. Yeah, for sure. I think every experience. Yes. I think what's very cool about when you're shooting, you know, what would be considered home movies or amateur movies, you know, where you're just out with your buddies, you know, shooting, you know, on your phone or, you know, on your DSLR, or way back in the day, obviously on your high 8 camcorder. You know, I mean, it's a for all intents and purposes, it's a home movie, right? It's not, you know, whatever. There's a difference, obviously, naturally, between doing, you know, that or hanging out with your friends, shooting a little Halloween movie, and doing this. Because what was so cool about this experience is everybody was competent in their job. So it's not like, you know, when you're doing and it's not like we didn't take on other roles. We did. I mean, obviously myself and Bruce were writers, directors, producers, you know, Bruce was sort of a lot of different roles, let's just say. But what's cool about being on a professional set, and it wasn't a massive crew because it's a low budget horror film, one location essentially. There was about, at any given one time, there was close to 20 of us. But what's cool about it is that they were all professional. Like, they weren't my friends. A lot of these people I had met for the first time working on this movie, right? And they're all, like, they've all since, because we all follow each other on social media, they've all since gone off to do, like, I think Jacqueline, our first AC, is on her, like, second or third film now since It's Me, Billy. Like, she posts photos all the time, and I'm like, that's all. Like, these are professionals working in the film industry here in Canada. It's what they do. So And the reason why I say that is because what's cool about that is that when we were working on It's Me, Billy, and everybody does their thing, everybody's competent. It's not like I have to, now I have to take care of this, or I have to take care of that, no, I can focus on my job, which is co-directing the movie. And Bruce can focus on his job, which is co-directing the movie. So when we give direction at the start of the day, because sometimes, at the top of every day, whether the top of the day was 6 a.m. or the top of the day was 6 p.m., because we had some overnight shoots, we would have a morning meeting where we talk about the day, what we're going to shoot, what our goals are, the plan is, what we want for this, this, and this. And then they go and do it. And the lighting team goes and the camera team goes and we go and we get ready. And what's great is that Bruce and I then can go and rehearse with the actors. We can just focus on that. And your team is setting up and getting ready. And if they have any questions or whatever, they'll come to us. But I mean, very rarely did that happen because they're so proficient in their jobs, and it was just a cool experience where you don't get that level of professionalism and competence on a, amateur set or a home movie set with, your friends or whatever. Not there's anything wrong with that. I'm talking about the differences, right? So to your point, to your question, yes, because, and again, I've said this, not every film set is full of competent people, even at the professional level. There's drama, there's egos, there's, this is, and I got to keep things in mind. This is a low budget, smaller set, everybody just happened to get along, which is totally great. But it's, there's a lot of sets out there that people don't get along. People get angry and, there's drama and and certainly that can happen too. But it was just very nice to focus on my job, that I didn't have to worry, where's Bob? What's he doing? He's not doing it right because he's not a key grip. He's your buddy who works, at the local Home Depot. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But that's not his job. He's just helping out, so you kind of have to keep an eye on everybody because they're just your friends. You don't have to do that on a professional set because it's what they do. So I noticed that was a big relief because then we could focus with the actors. We could go, okay, ladies, let's go rehearse over here. And we'd go rehearse and we would talk to them and everybody's setting up all around you. And that was a really cool experience because up to that point, I had rarely, in film school, I experienced that a little bit because everybody had taken on jobs that they had been taught and learned about. And obviously I've been on set where I've seen that. And I was fortunate enough actually to be invited down to the Suicide Squad set in 2016. I had a buddy who was working on that and he invited me down and I was down there when they shot Batman on top of the Joker's car. And I still haven't seen Suicide Squad, but I was down there when they shot that scene and I was able to hang out with him and some of the crew and things like that. And that's not the first time I've been on a set, obviously, but, and it's funny even through my career as a voice actor, because it's part of the entertainment industry, I've met all sorts of directors and producers and writers who, write and produce shows and commercials and movies and who I've become friends with and, hung out with and all that kind of stuff. So, they're all connected. There's a lot of facets of the entertainment industry that if you're in one part of the entertainment industry, they're connected. There's crossovers. They meet along the way, in a variety of different instances. So, but that was a cool experience. So yes, it makes me want to have that experience again. I've always wanted to pursue directing. I always liked the idea of directing and writing and producing, but being on a competent set with people who know what they're doing, and that's not always the case, but that certainly is something that was really cool. That was really cool. And Bruce said the same thing, and Bruce's boots on the ground with that kind of stuff. I mean, not necessarily on set like that, but he's, he works for Whites, right? And he deals with all the big films that come up from Hollywood. So it was, and even he said, it's so refreshing to be able to just say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Now go do it. and they just know what to do, you know, and it's really, really cool. Such amazing people and such pros that we had a chance to work with. I can't wait to work. I hope, and I can understand, even by this little thing, I can understand why at, you know, making studio films in Hollywood, why certain directors work with the same actors. Now, you don't want to work with the same actors all the time, obviously, but why they keep going back to that well. Why a director and a DP will often work together all the time. Why crews will often stick together. Because it really is a family. You know, like for those 7 days that we were up at that house, we were a family. And I know that sounds really kumbaya cheesy, but it is true. It's like a summer camp, you know, and especially for that experience with It's Me, Billy, because we were isolated in the middle of nowhere at this house. So you really do become like a work family. And I can understand why you would want to revisit that family again, people you got along with, to then make another movie, whatever that is. I totally get that, why people want to hang out again and work together again. I would work with every single person that worked on It's Me, Billy again like that. Everybody was professional and top-notch, 100%. No issues. I don't have any issues at all. It was such an amazing crew. And of course, as we know, that's not always the case. Let's see here. Oliver Mercer says, hey Dave, for you, what's easier? The directing or the writing? I would say the directing is probably easier because writing is tough. And John Carpenter said that, and I absolutely agree. Writing is difficult. I wouldn't go as far as say that I hate writing. I don't hate writing, but writing's tough. And directing is not easy, but it's easier because you are now directing what you've written. So the writing's already there. You just have to make sure that you are able to work with the actor or actors to help bring what you or somebody else has written to life. So it's certainly not easy, but the idea but I think writing is the most difficult thing. I really do. Writing characters, creating those nuances is tough. I would say it's probably my least favorite, although it's cool to be able to create, it's probably my least favorite part of the filmmaking process, which is funny because writing, you're like, but you're bringing it to life, you're writing it. And it is cool to imagine it and you're writing it. There is a cool thing about it for sure. But yeah, it's probably the toughest, I'd say. Michael Shane brings in, well, I guess he kind of does, sends in, I should say, a $10 super chat. Thank you, Michael. And says, love your content and your knowledge, Dave. You separate your own bias from objectivity, and I like it. Favorite channel. Well, thank you very much, Michael. I really appreciate you saying that. I try to do my best. I'm obviously not without my own bias. Certainly, we all have that, of course, but I always try to do my best to remove the subjectivity of my emotional attachment to something, to try and look at it as objectively as I possibly can. And that's not always easy to do. But I like doing that, though. I like challenging myself to try and do that, because then if I can do it, I think that makes, if I can do it, and if somebody can do it, I think that makes them, in my opinion, I think that makes them a more attractive individual to listen to, because you know you're not just always getting personal feelings on something, right? I always, when I say I'm a very theatrical, animated person, and I can say that's dog shit, that's dog, whatever, right? But when I'm being serious and I don't like something like Halloween 5 or whatever it is, I can tell you why in an articulate, constructive way, not in a, well, that's just shit. You know what I mean? Because I think it's important to be able to do that. So I appreciate the compliment, and I don't know if I always succeed in doing that, but I certainly try to, because I think it's, because then it's I don't know, it's just better. I think it's just better. It's more, it seems more pure that way, but Anyway, yeah, thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that. Robert Thidoff, Robert, my man, says, Dave, is there anything you would have changed for the preparation work for It's Me, Billy? Changed for the preparation work for It's Me, Billy. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I'd have to think on it. I don't believe so. There are always things. I can't think, in terms of the preparation process, though, we were really tight. And I got to say this, and I mean this in all sincerity, hats off to Bruce Dale, my buddy, my best friend of nearly 30 years. Without you guys, this movie wouldn't have been possible. Without Bruce, this movie wouldn't have been possible. Bruce, of course, is the National Manager of Education Training at William F. White International in Toronto. And White's, for those of you that don't know, is Canada's largest distributor of motion picture and television lighting and grip gear, right? So when Hollywood comes up to Canada, now there are competitors, but, White's is Canada's largest. They've supplied films like, Shape of Water and It and, It Chapter 2. And so, the list goes on and on and on. And Bruce is so knowledgeable and so respected at that company that the way he's able to facilitate, and it's not that I couldn't have done it. I could have called them up and said, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what I'm doing. But Bruce knows already the people. He has a relationship there. He knows who to talk to, what to do. They go, okay, we're going to rent. You want to rent this? You want to get that? We want to. And just the way he facilitated everything is incredible. I could have done it, as we all could have, but it would have taken me a lot longer because I don't have the immediate relationship. Now, some people know me there now, and there's a few people that know me over the years because obviously I go to visit Bruce, but obviously but Bruce has that firsthand boots on the ground experience there, able to facilitate that process during the pre-production process was crazy. The amount of emails that I would be CC'd on in any given week in pre-production was insane. The amount of people that Bruce was talking to in the different departments leading up to production was wild to me. I would wake up in the morning and I would have 13 emails that I was CC'd on. Everything from this department to that department, to this producer, to that producer, to this insurance, to that insurance, to this. It was insane. It was insane. And I was happy because it keeps me in the loop. I know what's going on. And then, of course, there were a lot of things that I was handling too, right? We split the duties. I was handling a lot of the catering and, the drone stuff and all that. And so, I'm sure he could say the same thing that, we couldn't do the movie without me either. Well, and it is true, obviously. But I just have so much respect for what Bruce was able to do and how hard of a worker he is and how well respected he is. And I'm very proud of him to see him in that capacity doing what he does, and it was just, it was great. If it wasn't for Bruce, well, I can't say that for sure, but it was also because of Bruce that we got Greg Bennett on as our DP. And that's a story that I've told before where I had compiled a list of professional DPs in the Toronto area. And the first one on the list just happened to be a guy I had never heard of before, but was a guy named Greg Bennett. And when we were going over the list, Bruce was like, oh, I know that guy. And I'm like, oh, you know him? He's like, yeah, I used to work with him years ago. We worked on a couple of shows together. And I'm like, oh, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, well, why don't we reach out to him since you know him already? You already have, you can reach out to him. He knows who you are. Why don't we contact him first? And then the rest is history. We never had to go to anybody else. So, who you know helps. But just a big shout out to Bruce because, he just did such an amazing job during the pre-production process. Is it Keon Bonner? Keon Bonner. Hey, Dave, was editing of It's Me, Billy hard or easy? Well, the editing process is not difficult because I've been editing for years, decades. But there are certain, cutting the film together in terms of flow and pacing, there were certain scenes in the movie that took a while to get the, it took a while to get the flow down. It took a while to get the cuts in the right order and in the right way where it felt good. So there was a few scenes that took some time to do that. There were some scenes that cut together seamlessly, without issue. But certainly there was about let's say maybe 3 to 5 scenes that were a bit tricky to edit. And that's just finding the right angles, making sure continuity fits, and that kind of stuff. So, but I mean, the actual process of editing the movie is pretty straightforward. So yeah. Sucks Film, says Dave. When you were first getting into filmmaking, did you find lighting to be a daunting aspect of production at first? I'm relatively early in my film career, but I struggle sometimes with lighting. Yeah, lighting is really tricky. When I was in film school years ago, of course, things have changed since then. Lighting is tricky. And of course, lighting now, I mean, with LED lights and things like that, it's come such a long way. Lighting is not easy to be able to craft and shape lighting to look natural. It's one thing to set up a light, like a lot of what amateur filmmakers, or I don't want to necessarily say amateur filmmakers, but maybe aspiring filmmakers. Some of the mistakes they make is that they buy lights, right? But as the saying goes, I mean, you can have the greatest piano in the world, but if you don't know how to play it, it's going to sound like shit. I can get on the most expensive, incredible piano in the world, and it's going to sound like shit. The shit might sound really good, but it's still going to be shit. One of the mistakes people make that I find is that if they have a set of lights or a set of soft boxes or, whatever, which is great, that's fine. It's a good starting kit, I guess. They will set up the light to where they think they want it pointing in the direction, but they don't shape it. They don't craft it. They just set it up and let it sit there. So it looks like a light source coming from the other side of the frame, but what you have to understand is you also have to remember, what is the light source supposed to be? Where is it coming from? You know what I'm saying? What is this light source? Is this a street light? Is this moonlight? Is this just ambient sort of, nighttime light that's just kind of out there? Is it the sun? Is it a lamp? What is the light source supposed to be? And you also have to remember too, to set your exposure and your color temperature and your white balance and all that to reflect that. These are things I'm sure you know. It can be a very tricky thing, but shaping the light is really important, which is why you'll see film set lights, right? Some, these lights, these HMI lights and all this kind. A lot of these lights have what are called barn doors, right? And those are the doors on the side of it. You have on the side and on the up, and those are to shape the light. So you open the barn doors all the way up for more light, and you close them to shape the light for more of a narrow, sort of softer look. Not every light, but a lot of lights will also be on dimmers as well, right? So you can change the intensity of the light. So learning to craft and shape your light into something that feels natural is really important. Like, for example, on It's Me, Billy, we have a living room scene where the girls are in the living room together. It's a scene you haven't seen yet. And the light source is supposed to be the lamp and the Christmas tree, essentially, right? But you need to have more than that, because it's not enough light for the camera. So our gaffer and and his crew, they obviously bring in their gear and their lights, and they bring in external light sources, but they know that this can't look like extra light. We're complementing the light that's already there to make it look like it's coming from the lamp, or it's coming from the Christmas tree, or whatever the case is, right? And they do that on film sets all the time. That's probably the toughest thing about lighting, is making your light source look natural and making it not look like a light. But I see a lot of aspiring filmmakers and amateur filmmakers that just have a light and they just set it up in the corner, and they might turn it a little bit, or maybe they'll push it up, or, you know, and they just kind of leave it there. But then when you watch the movie, you're like, well, this just looks like a light off in the distance in the corner. Like, what do you, yeah, I can see your scene, but what is this light? So always ask yourself, what is my light? Where's it coming from? What is the light source? Right? So if you have a scene where you have a lamp on somebody's desk, right, but it's too bright, right, or it's too dark, right, and you don't want to turn the exposure all the way up and the ISO all the way up on your camera because it's going to get really grainy, right? And you're like, fuck, damn it, but I really like this look. Well, you got to bring it in external lights. And because the lamp is probably tungsten balanced, right? It's probably got this nice warm kind of glow to it. You got to make sure that your external light is also tungsten balanced. And you might have to play with the white balance and the exposure in the camera as well, right? It's a whole thing. And then you might want to set up your external light maybe off to the side a little bit, shape it, turn it this way. So it looks as though the extra light coming in, the fill light coming in to help complement the lamp on the desk, is all from the lamp. That's the idea. And if you can create that, you've created movie magic, you know, and you've given the impression. But that's one of the toughest things. I absolutely agree with you. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to do. And that's why there are experts in the field that take care of it. That's why I wasn't doing it on the set of It's Me, Billy. And we had Nikita, who was our gaffer, and Greg, who's our DP, and everybody was working together. You know, I didn't have to worry about that. We would tell Greg, here's the mood we want. Here's what we're thinking. And then Greg would offer his professional thoughts. And then they'd go to town and try to create that. So definitely agree with you, man. It's a very tough thing. Lighting is difficult, but it takes practice. But just remember those things. What is my light source supposed to be? Where is it coming from? Right? And don't forget about your color temperature too. You don't want to have, you know, daylight balanced light trying to be the extra light for a tungsten balanced lamp. You know what I mean? I'm sure you know all that. Let's see. Nathan Hartswick sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Nathan. Says, I can't stand people that think your movie budget was high. They have no idea what things cost. I'm impressed you could pull it off that much. Great budgeting. Can't wait to see it. Thank you, Nathan. Well, I think it's because, Nathan, and you're right. I mean, $60,000 is not a lot of money when we're talking about making a movie. But I think it's just ignorance, you know, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't say the word ignorant as to mean stupid. I don't mean that. I just meant not privy to more knowledge than maybe they have, right? And you know, $60,000 in a vacuum, right? When you think of $60,000, that's a lot of money. You can buy a car for that. You can buy a car. You can buy two cars. You can buy 3 cars for that. Right? You could buy, you could put a huge down payment on a home with that, right? You could, it's a lot of money in a vacuum with certain things. But when you think about making movies, right, it's not a lot of money, right? It's low budget. But it's enough money to still make a professional film. Now, we couldn't have made It's Me, Billy over 2 months with $60,000, right? Because time is money. And you have to remember that, well, we have $60,000. What can we do this in? Because you're paying the cast and crew. You're paying, which, by the way, again, myself and Bruce did not take any payment for this. We did not. We received 0. 100% of the money raised went into the movie, not to us. But paid cast and crew. We had to pay for the location for the week. We have production insurance and equipment rentals and craft services. And because of COVID as well, insurance has gone up, and there's masks and sanitizer. And I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how that was able to get us 6 days. So essentially you could average it out to, $10,000 a day. If we wanted to take 2 weeks, well, you need more money, when you're making a professional film, that's what it is, so yeah, it's not high. It's not high, but it's high for people that don't really know a lot about the industry, that just think of $60,000 in a vacuum, right? Because it is a lot of money. 60 grand. That's a fucking lot of money. You know, that's some people's salary in a year and more than some people's salary in a year. So certainly from a certain perspective, it's a lot of money. But when it comes to making movies, it'll only get you so much. You know, and thankfully we were able, because we were so prepared, because we were so on point, because we were so diligent with our development and pre-production process, we were able to maximize all of that, you know, to the best of our abilities. You know, nothing was left on the table. So that was, you know, that's a positive for sure, for sure. Let me see. Dylan, what else is going on here? Evil Alex. I think Evil Alex changed his avatar. He says, Dave, what would be the runtime of your He-Man film? And would be Skeletor CGI or a guy in a costume and makeup? No, Skeletor would definitely not be CGI. Nobody would be CGI in my He-Man Master of the Universe film. Well, I mean, maybe like, you know, some creatures or something like that, like, and maybe Battle Cat and Panther would probably have to be CGI or something. But I would want them like Lion King or like Jungle Book level quality CGI. Like that's none of this, you know, cheap. No, like Battle Cat's got to look like fucking he's from the Jungle Book. So that quality. So I would say that. No, but no for Skeletor. No way. Skeletor's got to be a big hulking dude, man. Fuck yes. Runtime for He-Man? I don't know. I mean, for an epic like that, probably at least 2 hours. Probably, yeah, at least 2 hours, probably. You know, a movie like that, I could see it being 2 hours. Maybe close to 2 hours. Yeah. You know, because you're expecting, like with a movie like that, I mean, depending on how successful it was, it may just be a one-off movie. But with a film like that, with an idea like that, you're hoping that it's so successful that you can do more. So, you know, you would tell the story in one movie, but you would leave it open for potential for the story to continue. So, yeah, I'd probably say 2 hours, like, you know, the length of an average Star Wars movie or something like that. That's what I think anyway. Hans Gruber says, you mean 60K won't hire a cast and crew for 6 months? No. Well, it might hire some cast or crew for 6 months, depending on who they are, I guess. But Simon says, you could buy a great vacuum for 60 euros. Yes, or 60,000 euros, I should say. Yeah, you could probably buy 60,000 vacuums. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, how you doing? Congrats on everything on It's Me, Billy. Thank you, Chester. Really appreciate that, man. That's right. In case you're just joining me and you don't know, you've been living under a rock, you don't follow me on social media, full trailer, March 26th, Friday, March 26th, full trailer. That's only 10 days from now, guys. That's 10 days. 10 days. Reese Wilson, my man, says, hey, Dave, during the shoot, did any of the actresses have suggestions about their characters that you hadn't maybe thought of during the writing process? But we're like, oh, yes, of course. Great question, Reese. I don't recall during the actual filming of the movie, but during pre-production or during the development, I should say, as we were having it, because we had about 4 or 5 table reads. They did. They absolutely did. Several of the actresses had terrific suggestions for their characters. And I like that. Myself and Bruce are the kind of filmmakers that, I mean, obviously because we were the writers and directors, we get the last say. I mean, that's no secret. I mean, they know that. Everybody knows that. But we're open-minded enough that when you are, especially when you have a cast of women, they bring a certain perspective as well. So I'd say 98% of what they read and what they didn't have any stuff. But there was a few things that Malika had some suggestions on, which was great. And we went back and made some alterations and this stuff. There was a few suggestions that I think Shelby had too. And it was good. And it was, I mean, if it was anything detrimental to the vision of what we were trying to do, obviously we'd be like, no, we can't do that. You know, sorry, you know, this is what we want you to do. but a lot of the suggestions they were making made the character stronger, made the film better. So we were like, yeah, that's a really good idea. I never thought of that. Hey, you know what? Let's see if we can do that. And let's see if we can get that in there. And we were able to do that. So I don't recall during filming because, again, everything was pretty locked and tight. But during development and pre-production, definitely. Yep, 100%. 100%. Chris Snyder says, Dave, if you had to guess, what do you think the status of fan films will be in 5 years from now? I think pretty much the same. I don't think fan films, I think fan films will continue to get, there have been high quality fan films that are being produced with Star Wars and superheroes and have been being produced with Star Wars and superheroes for quite a number of years. High quality. I don't know what they're shooting on, but certainly high enough quality that you're like, yeah, this looks legit. This looks like a legit production. And there's a lot of Star Wars fan films out there right now that are legit professional independent productions, 100% through and through. You can watch a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and it's like, yeah, this is full on film. That's what people don't, but unfortunately the words or, the title fan film has a connotation to it of people automatically think amateur, home movie, right? Because that's where the vast majority of fan films lie. The vast majority of fan films are garbage in terms of production value and quality, right? They might have some really cool stories, but in terms of production value, naturally, they're made by fans. They're not made by filmmakers. These aren't filmmaker films. They're fan films. And traditionally, and I'm part of that. Years ago, I was making little fan films and things like that. And a lot of people are and were and still are. And the vast majority of fan films are people shooting on their phones or, walking around like this and have no understanding of how to shoot a movie or, and then some fan films, some lower tier, but higher tier amateur fan films are pretty good. That clearly these are guys that know what they're doing or gals that know what they're doing. But again, in terms of the production value, you can tell it's I don't say amateur, but it's not a professional shoot. It's not in terms of the sound design, the mixing, but there can be some good stuff in there. It can be good stuff in there. I don't know if that's going to change largely in 5 years, Chris. I think what has to happen, and how do you regulate this? It's not going to happen. But I think what is happening, you'll never stop aspiring filmmakers or amateurs making home movie fan films. There's an abundance of them, right? You're never going to stop it, nor should you. I think fans should go out and make whatever the fuck they want to make. Make it, have fun. But fan film is where I think the problem, if I can call it that, because it's not really a problem, but take it with a grain of salt, right? The problem lies because of the association with fan film and home movie. That's why you'll often hear me sometimes say, even though It's Me, Billy is promoted and advertised as a Black Christmas fan film, okay, you will often hear me talk about It's Me, Billy or promote It's Me, Billy as a fan and tribute film. I think, and that was my way of trying to separate it a little bit. It's not just a fan film because of the association people have with fan films. This is a film. It's a tribute film. And it is a tribute film. I mean, it's a direct sequel to the original, but it is a tribute film because it's a fan film, if you know what I mean, right? So I don't know if that'll ever catch on, but certainly it's difficult because of the association people have with fan films. I mean, I remember when Bloody Disgusting picked up our teaser trailer. And of course, in their headline, naturally, right? Black Christmas fan film, is sequel to original 50 Years Later, whatever the headline was. And in the comment section, there was a guy that wrote, I don't know if it's still there. Was it the comment section or was it, maybe it was on their Facebook page. It might have been on the Bloody Disgusting Facebook page or the Twitter account or something. Anyway, it was somewhere where he wrote this, quote, "You lost me at fan film. You lost me at fan film." Now, why is that? Well, number one is because most fan films are what they are, right? And number two could be that, oh, it's not real. It's not actually canon. Oh, who cares, right? That could be it. But a large reason is because fan film, people have an association, right? When they think fan film, they think amateur home movie. So now, however, he got comments on his post and people saying, no, you got to check it out. It looks amazing, whatever. Whether he did, I have no idea. And I know I'm taking a while to answer this, Chris, but it's a good question. I don't know if the association of fan films will ever change, but I'm hoping that people begin to look at what myself and Vince and Cecil, when we can get around to doing Dylan's New Nightmare, I think fan films can change, and maybe the higher quality fan films will end up in their own, the films that are actual films. I mean, like real movies in terms of their production value and so forth. Maybe they have their own category. You know what I mean? Maybe there's fan films, but then there's tribute films, which are also fan films, of course, but they're separated from the pack because of this. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. But certainly getting past the association fan film can be hard for some people because they automatically think it's kids after school running around in their backyards with their friends, and unfortunately, that's not the case, because there are incredibly talented filmmakers out there that are making real movies that are just fan films because they don't own the IP. It's fan fiction. That's all. But in terms of the actual quality that some of these Star Wars fan films have, and of course the horror and the superhero films. I mean, that Batman film that was released just a couple of days ago, whatever it was, great production value. It looks like a real fucking movie, especially that opening fight scene he's having. I mean, Jesus, these kinds of things maybe need to be separated from the pack, because it's almost not fair to call them fan film. And why do people say that? Even with the teaser for It's Me, Billy, this doesn't look like a fan film. This doesn't look like a fan film. Well, what do you mean when you say that? What do you mean when you say it doesn't look like a fan film? Well, what they mean is it doesn't look like shit. It doesn't look like a home movie. It doesn't look amateur. That's what you mean, right? So, and it doesn't mean all fan. I'm not saying that all fan films are like that. I'm just saying there's that association, right? So yeah, maybe the higher end fan films maybe need to be called tribute films or something. But they are still fan films. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's a good question. What I hope is that maybe fan films or tribute films of that level of quality can be used to, can be used as, which is what they are, which is why we make them that way. I mean, we're making it this way for you guys and for the fans, but as it's a portfolio piece for myself and Bruce and for everybody who worked on it. It's something we can showcase to, we can put on our reels and we can showcase to studios and we can show, I mean, it's here's what we did, and that's what I hope all filmmakers that have put their heart and soul and sweat and tears into making a fan film that looks so good can do, and hopefully they'll be taken seriously, more seriously than they are, and maybe the association will start to curve, a little bit, but. In order for that to happen, I mean, not everybody has the means, the money, or the connections, or the know-how to make a real movie. I mean, it's, if you don't work in the industry or you have no connections to the industry, and, chances are, you're not going to be doing that. So I think there will always be an abundance of the lower tier home movie fan films because it's just easier to do. But if people can, like I said earlier in the show today, if people can really learn the craft of filmmaking and learn camera and lighting and angles, and you can make a really good looking a really good looking movie on a DSLR. There are professional movies that wind up in festivals that look fantastic, that look like really good, that are shot on like the Mark D3 or the, whatever it is, but it's because they know how to do it. Right? You can't just take the camera and go and shoot. You got to know those things. So learning techniques and stuff is really important too. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough, but that's how I feel about it. Anyway, as I think it's possible, but it's that association that needs to change. And maybe myself and Vince and Cecil, especially in the horror genre, and these guys that are doing the superheroes and maybe a trend is happening now. Maybe we're, it will eventually change how people feel about fan films. Matthew Ferresi sends in a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Matthew. Says, I could see you making your own psychological thriller horror movie down the road. You understand the need for mood, atmosphere, and tension building, something that too many horror movies don't have. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, I've talked about this before. I do have a feature length script that I wrote many years ago. It needs to be polished. That is a psychological horror thriller, sort of. It deals with the supernatural, but it's not like a Conjuring or anything like that. That is based on true events from my second year of college, called Port Robinson Road. I would love to do that, but that's a movie that would cost a lot more than $60,000. Like, we're probably talking a couple of million maybe. But that's something I would love to do. That's always been like my baby, because and it's original. It's an original piece. It just, I have, but maybe It's Me, Billy will help to get that made. You're like, oh, look what he's done with this. I don't know. Who knows, right? That's why you make short films. That's the really cool. That's actually a really good plus for fan films, if they're taken seriously and shot professionally, is you can use them as portfolio pieces, which is great. I mean, even Saw began as a short film. James Wan shot Saw as a short film and then used it to make the feature-length movie. They were like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is amazing. So who knows? Who knows? Anything's possible. Anything's possible. Holly Klein. Hello, Holly. Great to see you here. Says, did the actresses get a wardrobe selected for them, or did they get to wear their own wardrobe? They got to wear their own wardrobe, Holly. Bruce and I talked extensively during pre-production on sort of the look that we wanted. But, this isn't a period piece. This is modern day young girls in their early 20s, just wear what you normally wear. They're all, they all wear normal stuff that modern young women would wear. So we were happy with them just wearing their own stuff. Also, it was good for COVID as well. We also had them do their own makeup, which is why in some of the behind the scenes photos, some of them, you'll see them, they'll have the face shield down as opposed to a mask. And the reason for that is because if you have the mask on, it ruins the makeup. So they had face shields, visors. I think there's a behind the scenes one where I posted where you can see that. But we had them do their own makeup because of COVID, but also because, that's actually primarily why. But they got to select their own stuff. Now, what we told them is we sent them photos of just from, Google Images of girls their age wearing all different kinds of stuff. And we said, here's what we're thinking for Sam. Here's what we're thinking for, Justine. Here's what we're thinking for Emma. Do you have anything like this in your wardrobes? And being a woman, Holly, I'm sure you probably have a large selection of stuff. So they said, yes, absolutely, no worries. And they took photos and sent us photos of them in different stuff. So we were like, great. And then we picked certain things we liked, and they brought a bunch of that stuff with them. And so I think they also bought, I want to say Emma, that's her character's name, Shelby, who plays Emma. I think she bought the pajama. I think the pajamas she's wearing in the movie, I think she actually bought for the movie, if I'm not mistaken. But certainly that's we did allow them to buy their own or to use their own clothes for a couple of different reasons, and it worked. I think it worked. It worked. Da, 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 da. Jeff Harris sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Jeff. Says, I would love to see you do a Fog fan film. Oh, Fog. I definitely know you would get the mood and atmosphere down. Well, at the very least, I would probably get that down right. That'd be a lot of fog, though. That'd be a lot of fog. I don't know how many foggers we'd have to rent. That'd be a lot of fog. Or you would have to do it in post with visual effects, which is probably how you do it. But yeah. Troy Grubbs, congratulations, Dave, on everything. Cannot wait to see It's Me, Billy, and you coming up as Freddy Krueger. How cool is that for you to play Freddy Krueger? Very cool, man. I mean, obviously, again, it's for a fan film. But again, this will be a high production value fan film. I mean, it's being shot by Renee Rivas, and it's being produced by Vincent DeSanti, and Cecil's directing it, and it's just too bad that COVID, and of course Miko Hughes is going to be in it as well. I'm playing opposite him, of course, going to tear him apart, hopefully. But of course COVID has put a wrench into everything right now. I'm in Canada, they're in the States. I can't get to them at the moment. There's a travel advisory. And of course, even when I get there, I'd have to quarantine. And if I get sick, what's going to happen? It's a shit show. It's a fucking shit show. It's a big delay and it's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get this thing solved sooner than later and we can shoot this thing because it feels really cool to be able to do that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. But it's still happening. It's just we're waiting for COVID, as a lot of productions got halted during COVID. We're just waiting for it to. It's not canceled. It's not canceled. It's happening. Just have to wait until there's an opportunity to do it. Duke Fleed says, Dave, have you ever thought about showing the movie around in festivals before releasing it on YouTube? Short answer, yes. Longer answer is we don't want to do that because it depends on the festival. Some festivals, as I'm sure you know by your question, have an exclusivity requirement. So there are some festivals, especially the bigger festivals, the more prominent ones, require that your film cannot be shown anywhere else, that their festival either has to be a premiere or it's currently not online anywhere. I mean, maybe it was shown at Bob's Festival a couple of months ago, but it's not on Vimeo, it's not on YouTube, it's not on Amazon Prime, it's not anywhere. That's why some movies will play what's known as the festival circuit. And, that's why sometimes you may notice a movie on IMDb that you saw in the theater that, you may see something like, I saw that in the theater in like 2011. Why does it have a 2009 release date? Well, that's because it actually is a 2009 movie. It was playing the festival circuit for 2 years. So, Bruce and I don't want to wait. We want to be able to deliver this to everybody. However, having said that, there are festivals, not like TIFF or Cannes or something like that, but I mean, there are festivals that don't require that your movie can be online and it can play the festival. And there are some festivals that we're looking into at the moment. So there's a couple of that have even reached out to us. So yes, playing a small festival circuit, maybe a couple of festivals or something, is possible. And we are currently exploring that. So, but certainly we don't want to play the festival circuit for a year and then release it in 2022. We just don't want to do that. We want to get it out there for everybody to see. Because at the end of the day, that's where most people are going to see it. But anyway, Dark Ninja says, hey Dave, how would you describe It's Me, Billy in one word? The words mood and atmosphere are not an option. In one word, faithful. Faithful. It's the first word that came to my mind. I believe faithful. How do you interpret that? Aaron Click says, Dave, did you have to specific for the actresses to bring outfit? I see what you're saying. Bring outfits that they were okay with getting ruined with fake blood. I see I love how this is an inconspicuous, this is an answer to find out if there's any blood in the movie. No comment, Aaron. No comment. That's not a yes or no. That just means, there's certain ways I can't answer that for other reasons too. Die Hard Drummer 84 says, watched Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez last night after two dudes and pleasantly surprised Erwin Yablans co-produced it. Did he really? Oh, I didn't know that. Men at Work. I'll have to check that out. Let's see. We got 5 more minutes left in the show today, folks. 5 more minutes left in the show. Terry Baslin. It's Me, Billy. Is it based off of Black Christmas? Yes, it is. We have some. Yes, It's Me, Billy is a direct, unofficial sequel to the original Black Christmas from 1974. If you go to my channel, Terry, it is there's a teaser trailer on my channel. You can watch the teaser trailer. The official trailer is dropping on March the 26th. March 26th. And by the way, if anybody here is not following the It's Me Billy Facebook page, the link is in the description. Make sure you follow and like that page. And all my other links are down there as well. Jeff Harris says, hey, Dave, did you hear about Bill Burr again? They're still trying to cancel him. I did hear about that, and whatever. I like Bill Burr. I just think this whole thing is just absurd. It makes my head hurt. Tom Hungarian says, ain't the point of festivals is for independent films to find distribution? A fan film is released free. Yes. Festivals, yes. Especially if it is an original piece, of course, and you're playing the larger festivals like Cannes or TIFF or, what's that? Sundance or any of the more larger reputable festivals, 100%. Everybody wants distribution for sure. But you're right. Fan films can't have it because they can't make any money off of it. So it can't be commercialized. It's got to be released wherever it's released. It's got to be free. That's why it's released on YouTube. So, but I think some people like to play festivals. I know Never Hike Alone played a few festivals. I don't think Hike in the Snow did, but I know Never Hike Alone did. But some people just like the cachet of being able to see if their work is good enough to make it into a festival. Maybe it's good enough to win Best Picture or Best Director, or, whatever the case is, right? And I think people like putting those little, festival little things on their posters, official selection, official winner. There's a certain level of prestige that I think comes with that. It's also good if you're able to get to the festival, if you're able to attend the festival where your film is playing. It's also great for networking. It's a great networking event as well because there's a lot of filmmakers and people involved in the entertainment industry that attend these festivals: actors, directors, writers, producers, distributors. So there's a lot of it's good to connect and socialize and all that. But you're right, though. Yeah, at the end of the day, it can't be picked up for distribution. So, but I'm not against it. I'm not against seeing if It's Me, Billy can play a couple of festivals. I think that'd be fun. I don't know. Obviously, if it's festivals in the States, they won't be festivals I'll be able to attend, which is unfortunate because I would love to be able to attend and see. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. And then there's online festivals as well. There's festivals that are online that you can submit your film to, and you don't have to attend at all. Nobody has to attend it. You can wherever you are in the world, you can log in or whatever, pay whatever and watch watch the movie online. There are those festivals as well. So, but you are right. In principle of what you're saying is right. That's one of the big reasons why films do play the festival circuit, is to see if they can get distribution. Goomba Johnny says, Dave, if an angel investor offered to fund your feature film idea, would you jump on it? How would you handle that and your full-time job? Well, again, in principle of what you're saying, yeah, but it depends on how much it is. Right. I mean, thankfully, I mean, I'm my own boss, so I am not, I mean, I can take as much time off as I want. I mean, you know, you don't do that because I have to make money. But I don't work a traditional 9-to-5 job, obviously, as a voice actor. I you know, am working all the time. With an angel investor, though, with something like my original project, though, I'd want to be paid for it. So whatever the investment was, you know, I would want to take a salary for it. So let's say it's going to take 4 months to shoot Port Robinson Road. Well, I'd want to be paid for that. You know what I mean? And then that would allow me to, you know, take the time off needed. Right. So, and I don't know how much Port Robinson Road would cost. You know, when I think of the movie and when I think of what's all involved and what it entails, it's a feature length film. You know, it's probably a movie that would cost, yeah, you know, a couple $1 million or something like that. But I would want to be paid. You know, I'd want to be paid. I don't know how much, but I mean, you know, whatever it is, I'd want to be paid so I can take that time off to make the movie. So that would be part of the agreement in the angel investing. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get films funded, right? There's crowdfunding, obviously. There's angel investors. There's film grants, you know, a lot of film grants out there and stuff. And so, I mean, you know, I don't know. But I hope I get to make it one day. I really hope I do, because I think it's a really, really cool idea. Justin Goodrich says, if It's Me, Billy is successful, what's the next steps for you? Follow up to Billy? Something new? Full-length feature? I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm just sort of concentrating on It's Me, Billy at the moment, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how it takes. We'll see, you know, what people think of it. And then we'll cross that bridge when it comes. I know that's a very cryptic sort of answer, but I don't mean it to be. Tony Spicali, I think I got this right one time. Anyway, Tony says, "Where's the Sabres hat, Dave?" Yeah, you know where it is. You know where it is, buddy. The Sabres are fucking garbage. Still my favorite team, though. That'll never change. Chris Baber sends in a $4.99 super chat, says, Friday the 13th Vengeance fan film sequel has Terry Kisser and Lar Park Lincoln from Friday 7. Should be interesting for those who care. Yes. And I think Vincent DeSante had a hand in helping to produce that as well, if I'm not mistaken. I wonder where... Is that out yet? I don't think it's out yet. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, is It's Me, Billy going live stream? Oh, good question. I don't think so. You mean the actual film? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. I know that Never Hike in the Snow did that, and I know other people are doing it. We'll see. Maybe make it more of an event. We'll see. We shall see, ladies and germs. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me for episode 151 of MCRAE Live. Thank you to my moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber for doing what you guys do. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the Super Chat questions that came in today. Thank you to the non-Super Chat questions, of course. And that is your It's Me, Billy update. So just to recap, full-length feature trailer. It's not 90 minutes long. Full-length trailer coming on Friday, March the 26th. That's only 10 days from now. And a release date will be attached to the trailer. Sounded like Oprah Winfrey. Oh, anyway. It's coming. It's coming. I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are excited about it as well. So I will be back on Thursday for episode 152 of MCRAE Live. Join me then at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Have a great Wednesday tomorrow. You guys are amazing. You know you are. And in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.